I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
How many disqualifying moments can a person have for them to lose your vote?
What does he say or do that they want to vote for him? They must think he's a strong guy, or this is the biggest whiner that ever walked the face of the earth. I mean, he's like the poorest example of a fifth grade bully I've ever seen. I mean, I just, would you want your kids to act like he does?
Like myself, San Antonio Spurs head coach Gregg Popovich is flat out dumbfounded trying to find this answer.
The process is rigged. This whole election is being rigged. There is the issue of voter fraud. Folks, it's a rigged system, and it's a rigged election, believe me.
I want to talk about 2020 because you said over and over that you were robbed in 2020.
Yeah, totally.
How do you think you were robbed? Everybody always cuts you off. I'm going to allow...
do. Well, they not only cut you off. Well, what I'd rather do is we'll do it another time, and I would bring in papers that you would not believe. So many different papers. That election was so crooked. It was the most crooked election.
Okay, but give me some examples of how.
Well, let's start
Okay.
on the top and the easy ones.
Okay.
They were supposed to get legislative approval to do the things they did, and they didn't get it. In many cases, they didn't get it.
What things?
Anything.
Legislative approval
like
of...
for extensions of the voting, for voting earlier, for this,
Right.
for all different things. By law, they had to get legislative approvals. You don't have to go any further than that. If you take a look at Wisconsin, they virtually admitted that the election was rigged, robbed, and stolen. They wouldn't give access in certain areas to the ballots because the ballots weren't signed. They weren't originals. We could go into this stuff. We could go into the ballots, or we could go into the overall. I'll give you another one.
Are you going to present
let me,
ever?
The answer is, of course, no. This moment, however...
I lost by I didn't lose, but they say I lost, Joe.
Priceless. At this point, I believe Joe Rogan even knows this guy is nuts. On a serious note.
Would you want your kids to make the excuses he does? Everybody's come after me. Everybody, this, that, and the other. I'm doing this for you. Poor me, whine, whine, whine. And you look at it, it's, like the election that he lost. And he continues to lie about it. Of course, all the sycophants around him know that he's full of crap and a liar, but their interests are for themselves anyway. But I look at it, and I look at my grandchildren, and I wonder if my grandchildren are playing in a soccer game or a basketball game, do I want him to be their mentor? Do I want him to be their example of how to act if it doesn't go well?
As much as he's preaching, it feels like he is trying to desperately reach the other side, who simply will never listen to logic and the facts of the matter.
14,000 apartments in 39 different buildings, all mostly white tenants. That is until the Department of Justice took notice in 1973 and slammed Donald Trump and his father Fred Trump with a lawsuit. Trump management was charged with discriminating against African Americans and breaking federal law.
Let's never forget Trump's racism goes back decades.
Just take me back into that room. So you were sitting in the room, and who was there? Describe the scene to me.
A black lady completed an application for an apartment in the building, a one-bedroom apartment, as I recall. And it was a very professionally writ application. It was checked and verified. There were no liens, no judgments against her. And she was calling me on a daily basis wanting to know the status of her application. And one day, Mr. Trump and his son Donald came into the office, and I asked this Fred Trump what I should do with this application because she's calling me constantly. And his response to me was, I don't rent to the N-word. Put the application in a desk and forget about it.
So Fred Trump used the N-word told you, we don't run to people like that.
That is correct, yes.
And Donald Trump was right there?
Donald Trump was right alongside his father when I was instructed to do that, yes.
And when his father told you not to rent apartments to people of color, what was Donald's response?
And he shook his head, and that's the way it's supposed to be. Agreeing with his father.
Like how he was groomed by his father to carry out practices of housing discrimination.
We all know what he does. And so I try to figure out, exactly why do people vote for him? What do they exactly think he's going to do for them? I was just watching his rally in Pennsylvania, and all the college kids were behind him with red hats and that sort of thing. And I just wonder if they know that he, had to pay money because of his rent practices in New York, that he was a racist in that sense.
Amen to that.
When it comes to great stakes, I've just raised the stakes. Trump stakes are the world's greatest stakes, and I mean that in every sense of the word.
It's depressing how we have a well-documented history of this guy.
At Trump University, we teach success. That's what it's all about, success. It's going to happen to you.
Trump University took in an estimated $40 million from people who believed they too could someday become successful.
We started looking at Trump University and discovered that it was a classic bait and switch scheme. It was a scam, starting with the fact that it was not a university. They promised they were going to teach people with hand-picked experts by Donald Trump. The teachers were neither hand-picked nor experts.
And how much of a con man he is.
He had to pay money because of Trump University being a fraud. He lost all kinds of money with casinos back east. There's Trump steaks. You could go on and on.
And the most frustrating part is this is just another con, as Popovich sees right through it. Sadly, millions of Americans choose blissful ignorance.
Did you ever hear the expression that the vote counter is far more important than the candidate?
It's the same playbook he used in 2016.
I'm afraid the election's going to be rigged.
And again in 2020, where he still refuses to admit he lost.
The only way they're going to win is by a rigged election.
Seeding doubt early and often is meant to delegitimize a possible win by Kamala Harris.
We now have a situation where at least half or a little less than half of the population thinks that our elections are rigged.
Trump's claims are just part of the strategy. Republicans will likely challenge unfavorable results in the courts, as they unsuccessfully did in 2020.
How are people this gullible?
And so you wonder, all the people who support him, would they want him to teach their kids? So I got to tell my grandchildren that, I guess, if they want to be like Trump, I got to say, hey, now, today, you're going to win, because there's no way you can lose. And if you do lose, it was rigged against you. So don't buy it. Don't buy it. You got to figure out who to blame. Blame those referees because they were against you. Blame your teammates because they didn't play well and they should have maybe given you the ball more. But you don't have to accept that. And just keep saying it. Just keep saying it. And to the little kids, what's really good about it? You keep saying it over and over, and all of a sudden your life will be a little bit easier because you'll become delusional. Because you'll actually believe some of the lies you've been telling yourself. And then you don't have to worry about shame and guilt, because when you're delusional, there's no shame, there's no guilt. And life becomes so wonderful. And that's the kind of things I think about when I think he's a pathetic individual. A small man who has to make everybody around him smaller so that he thinks he's going to be bigger. And isn't that the same thing we tell all our kids in grade school? That's not how you act. That's not what you do.
Honestly, it's rather simple, as Pop explains even further. Hey, I appreciate you watching. Now, if you can, please do become a channel member by going to youtube.com/TYTsports and clicking the join button. If that's too much for you, you can just go to tyt.com/join to become a member. It helps all of us out here at the Young Turks and keeps our network afloat. In addition, you could follow me on my socials on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate the love. Have a great day.